Hey y'all, so this is my new friend, my Uber driver. You guys seen in the other videos how I just met her, and she had been schooling me, and really the point is, make a long story short, we were just, you know how it is, you get in a car with your Uber driver, you start a conversation, and you just realize it's a divine connection. And so as you read the title, my babies have been kidnapped, and Miss Grace Mora, that's her name here, she was picking me up from Starbucks after I had all these documents that I had was at the post office trying to serve all these people who have kidnapped my children unrighteously. And so she picked me up, and then we started talking about lifestyles, talking about CMOS, as y'all saw, and then she started sharing her story, and then I started sharing mine. And so I was like, hold up, we need to, this is just not for me, this is also for others. So I wanted her to share her story, because she too had the same experience as I did, and she's here to, which I feel like is here to actually give me wisdom, and you know, like it says in the word, like the older should teach the younger. And so she has experience and she has wisdom to share, and has blessed me. And so that we can, even when we go through these traumatic situations, that to know that we don't have to, like the title says, hurt people, so that just because somebody is hurting us, we have to stay still. We don't have to operate in that way. We can still operate in the light, and not let our hurt, when we hurt and when we're from our trauma, and then we end up hurting others. At least that's the message that happened for me, like to realize as well, like keep your intentions pure, and also to not pick the wrong, like to go forward and grow, and not to make these go in that cycle again. Better choices. So I'm gonna let her talk and take it from there.
So I was I'm embarrassed to say, but it's the facts, is that I was 13 years old when I ran away with my 16-year-old boyfriend, and he was a hurt, abused child from his mother and stepfather. And I didn't know at the time, of course, because I was kicking rocks in the street, basically a child. And I picked someone that was very much hurt, and I had no idea at that time that hurt people. And I learned the hard way. I allowed this man to beat me for 10 years. I would change the channel on the radio station, and he would literally backhand me for not asking him if I could change the channel. I allowed him to, you know, we teach people, I want to tell this to young ladies and men. We teach people how, young men, we teach people how to treat us. So you allow someone to mistreat you, it's because we allowed it. And you know, as soon as, and you know what they say, we have to pay attention to the way hurt people treat. When you start dating someone, you have to pay attention to how they treat people of service. So when you start dating someone and they're treating someone of service like a waiter or waitress, like dog meat, that's the way they're going to treat you, is what they say. So, because hurt people. And we have to pay attention to these little hints, because later on they turn out to be the life we end up living with these people that are hurt, that are not healed yet.
We gotta stop ignoring the red flags.
Yes. And we have to dig a little deeper. When they say finding the needle in the haystack, to find that needle, once you have that needle that you found, you have to dig deep and ask more questions. How was your last relationship? How do you feel about your mother? So if it's a man, how do you feel about your mother? What kind of relationship did you have with her? What kind of relationship do you have with your father? You know, you have to ask these pertinent questions, because if we don't, they end up backfiring in such a way that all signs are there, but when you're in that, what do they call it? You're in that, the first stages of a relationship, the honeymoon stages. It's easy for them to fake the funk, as they say. And we can't afford that. Life, you know, I say 20s turns into 30s real quick. 30s turn into 40s real quick. You know, there's a funny saying that they say that your life goes as fast as your age. So I'm going 63 miles an hour. You're going, how old are you?
33.
33 miles an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to be so keen at seeing the signs of these hurt people. Otherwise, we end up paying drastically.
And so, like, share kind of like, you only started the beginning of the story.
So,
but like with your relationship.
So I
like
left him at the age of 23 because I used to allow him to beat me. I was trying to be submissive. I was, you know, just trying to do the godly thing and keep my marriage. I was an emancipated minor at the age of 14. And I didn't marry him till I was 18, but we ran away together since I was 13. And I wanted to tell my father and my brothers that he was hitting me, but I know that my father and one of my brothers would have hurt him and probably caught a case. And so then I decided to, you know, I was raised kind of old school. You have to like it and lump it, meaning take your lumps, because I was the one that made my decision at a very early age, and all I wanted to do was raise my 2 kids. I couldn't take it because I turned 21, and I finally got tired of taking the beatings, and he knocked me out a couple of times, and for stupid reasons. One time he ended up finding out that I enrolled myself in school. He found my enrollment papers in my book, and he literally knocked me out. But I had never hit him before, and you know, he just got used to it. Once I started sticking up for myself, then I started putting a little bit of fear in him.
I was gonna say, what about like the kids? How many children did you have with him?
I had 2 kids with him. So when I decided to leave him because he knocked me out, and thank God that he left. The 3rd time he knocked me out, he left. Had he not left, I swear I would have made hamburger meat out of him. I swear. And that's just the way I felt, because I had so much rage. I lost myself, and I would have probably accidentally, in my rage, it was built up anger. Yeah, I would have literally done away with them, because I lost myself. I literally, when I seen myself with the knife, and I looked in every room and every bathroom and every shower and under the bed, and I literally was praying and saying, God, and I was stabbing the stairwell at the bottom of the staircase, and I was stabbing it, asking God, why did you let him go? Why did you let him go? And I was hitting it. And one of those stabs that I did on the rug woke me up, and I seen that what I heard myself saying to God, why did you make him leave when he's never left before? But he knocked me out, and he thought he killed me, I'm sure. So he left, and when I came to, I dead yet, but I'm gonna die from the big old blob. I had a big old concussion and I forget what they call it, hematoma, and a big old blob, and my eye looked like it was gonna come out and stuff like that. So, long story short, I wanted to do away with him because I didn't want him, because he would try to abuse my daughter, and that's part of the reason why he would hit me sometimes, because I wouldn't let him hit my daughter, and which was his daughter, but he was an abused child. His mother allowed the stepfather to abuse him, and he hated his mother for that, and also his mother allowed the stepfather to have a relationship with the daughter, with his stepdaughter. Yeah. So he's seen it. He told his mother, and basically the mother, because she came from El Salvador, in a very impoverished country, especially at that time, and he made a lot of money, and she was buying properties, homes, and strip malls with his money. She sold out. So allowing this man to do whatever he wanted to her 3 kids that she had with someone else. So basically she sold out for the comfort of the mighty dollar. She treated me well, and she even treated her son well when he got together with me, but so did the stepfather. But and I treat people how they treat me, so I respected her, even though he told me all this stuff. I still respected her because I was raised that way. You have to respect her.
It's like we kind of do things based off of how we were raised too. So it's like no shame, but like that's what I'm learning too. It's like no shame because we all come from this, and no one has taught us clearly certain things. But
like hurt people hurt people. We got to keep that in mind.
Put up the boundaries and
put
like
up
you
boundaries.
said, the way
we teach people how to treat us.
But okay, so then what happened with the kids though? Like when you decided to leave, like when
I went to a battered shelter that day when I seen myself stabbing.
How old were your kids then?
6 and 3.
Okay.
And I was 23, and I seen myself stabbing the rug, the stairwell, asking God, why did you let him leave when he's never left before? And I seen the knife, and I threw it because it scared me, because I heard myself saying that I wanted to do away with him. And so then I knew I had to leave for my own sake, for my children's sake, and I didn't want my son to grow up to be the learned behavior, and allow my daughter to allow someone to beat her, and my son to be a batterer. So I left, and for self-preservation. And you guys girls and guys have to understand that the signs are there. We just have to dig a little deeper in order to see people that are in pain, that have unresolved issues, for us to forget the little, flowers and the little butterflies that we feel. We have to ignore that, because that's the honeymoon stage, and we have to be keen like serpents and pay attention to the signs, because they're there.
Well, what about when, like, after the fact, you left and that was
I
it?
left. I went to a battered shelter. I met a woman that was 47, and she looked like she was 87. She had 2 children. This was God. This is like we met as a divine appointment. I felt like God put this woman there so I would never go back. She was like 47, and she looked like she was 87. She looked like a stray cat. She had all these cuts on her face. Her lips were all cut from all the beatings that he busted her lips so many times. She was Caucasian. Her husband was Caucasian, and has nothing to do with the nationality, but I'm just
giving a picture.
Yeah. And when I seen her, she had a boy, first a girl, then a boy like myself, and her children stopped talking to her because they didn't respect her anymore. And that was their own father. They wanted her, they begged her, Mom, stop taking Dad back. He's a loser, he's no good, and she kept on taking him back. And then she told me that all the shelters around the area wouldn't take her anymore because she had well, they have certain rules that you can't come back. Some of them have, you can't come back after you've been there 6 months, and you can't come back for a year. She used up all the resources in that county and surrounding counties to where and they knew that she was, not going to change. I forget there's a word for that, but right now I can't think of it. And so they stopped helping her, and she had to sleep at parks, and her kids wouldn't take her in, even though they knew she was sleeping in parks. And then she got raped 2 or 3 times by complete strangers. So that's what made me not go back to my ex-husband, because I felt like it was a divine appointment, that God wanted me to hear her story, and never look back. And that's exactly what I did. So my sister, oldest sister, called me because I left with my children to this shelter, and she told me that my ex-husband was losing his mind because I didn't come back, and that I needed to let him see the kids. And at first I was embarrassed to tell her that he hit me, and I didn't tell her. So I called my ex-husband. He had this all planned, and I met him at the Greyhound bus station in San Jose, California, and he was supposed to bring back the kids at 6:30, and I met him there at 10 a.m., and I came back at 6:30, and he was not there. I waited until 10. The shelter had a 9:30 curfew or something like that, and I called them and was crying, and I knew that my husband was not going to bring my children back. So I couldn't find them for 6 months, and by the grace of God, I didn't lose my mind, because I thought I was going to lose it, because all I knew was my children and my family. And prayer is the only thing that got me through it. I hung on to God. I ended up telling my oldest sister that she couldn't tell my dad or my brothers and sisters that I had gotten beat for 10 years and that I wasn't going to go back. And it took me 6 months to find my kids. My ex-husband handed me some documents from the courthouse. I didn't want to open them, and he laughed at me, saying that I lost my children. And I said, my kids are my kids. I'm going to get an apartment and a job, because my ex-husband never let me work. He lived his life, and he lived my life. He lived his life, and he lived my life.
I know what it's
so
like.
we give up ourselves so much that we allow someone.
Yourself.
Yeah,
you lose yourself.
Yeah,
and they completely pull the strings.
Yeah, we I said.
And just from the beginning of letting them treat you this way, that's our own fault. It's then they completely control, and then they're pulling the strings. They know what to say, what to do, how to keep you where they need you, and you already lost yourself, so you don't even know that you're going along.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
And on TikTok, there's a lot of those videos of what do they call them? What are those men called? They're narcissistic.
Narcissist. That's how I learned, and I learned about how to get away.
Guys, you gotta look at the signs of a narcissist.
Yeah.
It's all about me, me, me. It's all about them.
Right.
And
so the sorry.
That's it. If we just pay attention, and a lot of times just close our mouth, like not let them do the talking.
Right.
And ask more questions.
Right.
Because if we would just stop trying to be like a little flower and try to shine for our man, let's find out if he is even worthy of being our man or our partner, if you're a guy listening to this.
And so, hold on. We're running out of time.
Okay.
So I'm going to put it on like
All right.
the part 2.
Okay.
So just say that, you know, like you got that, he took your kids, and then what happened. So we'll talk about that in the next, okay, so we were talking about, he took your kids, from...
He didn't come back.
He didn't come back, and then... go on.
He took my kids, said he was going to take them to a you know, like a Disneyland type place, and he never brought them back. And basically, he stole the kids from me. He was trying to make me suffer. Of course, I told him this is why he did it. He was trying to get me back. I told him, I'm never going to take you back. I'm never looking back. Just let's raise our kids now, not together. We're going to raise them apart.
Well,
you know,
but still co-parent.
Co-parent.
So always
and
pure
he didn't want me to. He said, you're never going to see the kids. After when I called him, he said, you're never going to see the kids again. I moved out of the house where we used to live. And he hung up, changed his phone number because he moved out of the house where we used to live. And nobody would tell me where he was at. And because I respected both his mom and his grandmother, and I just said to them, because my ex-mother-in-law owned a restaurant, and I told her that I'm not a dog, I'm a human being, and your son and your grandson, because they were both at the restaurant, beat me like a dog, but it's my fault because I allowed it for 10 years. But I'm grown now, and by them, I've never disrespected them, and I'm not going to disrespect them now. But I told them that even a dog would go at any length to get her dogs back, and that I was more than a dog. You know, I'm a human being, and I'm going to get my kids, and I will do whatever it takes to get my kids back. And despite the way they, what's that?
Are we going to the right direction?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I know.
Sorry, but it says I messed up because I wanted to make sure
That's
we're going to United.
That's okay. I know.
Sorry guys, we're on our way to the airport.
That's okay. We're fine.
Okay, we're fine? To departures? Okay, sorry.
So that's okay. So I you know, then much later when I got my kids back, and they seen how with class I got my children back, I fought them in court. I went and called attorneys from San Jose to San Francisco. So I called a bunch of them and I didn't have a job. I found a job, but I was pregnant already, and stupidly met somebody else at a bar. Worst place ever, guys. Worst place ever. I was just hanging around somebody my age, and I'd never walked into a bar before, and I was going to a bar for 6 months with my girlfriend, and she was showing me the ropes, and of course, you know, I was hanging on to the hand of somebody as young as me, young and dumb, you know.
Showing me the ropes.
Showing me the ropes. And
so funny.
You know, that's what happens. You play, you pay, you know, and you have to be resilient enough to always, that's what was my strength, is God. Be resilient enough to, through it all, I prayed. I asked God, because I wanted to myself when my ex-husband served me with papers, and then I ended up missing.
Wait, was this
the court
after
date.
You already won?
He stole my children,
yeah.
And he served me with papers, and then I didn't even want to look at the manila folder.
The stress.
I didn't want to open it up. I
said,
said, you're never going to steal my children. I said, he's laughing. He says, the kids are awarded to me. And I said, sorry, you can't steal my children from me. And I just ignored it. I didn't open the manila folder, and I put it in my trunk, in my glove compartment in my car. I never opened it. And within a month later, I came to visit my kids. He didn't let me pick them up. And he came out and said, "You missed the court date." And I said, "What court date?" And he said, "It's on the papers. Didn't you read it?" And I said, "No." And he says, "Well, the kids are mine 100%. You missed the court date." And I believe my husband just was tired of my kids. That's why he told me, because he had never taken care of them. And he wasn't a very good father when they were little. And he's not a good father now.
Yeah.
And he's super old, and my kids are grown. My kids are 43 to 45. And he's just not been a good father, you know. I've taught my kids, though my kids didn't know about how toxic he was until they grew up and seen that their father was very faulty. I didn't want to poison my kids' mind with telling them how bad the father was, because I wanted them to have pride amongst themselves to know that they had a good mother and a good father. So I knew that my kids would eventually see the light, but I didn't. I would tell them as we were growing older, you need to be a better man, because your kids are going to grow up and see what's really going on. And that's basically it. And then so I found an attorney, a Jewish man, God rest his soul, and he said, "Grace, I'm going to help you for free." And I walked in there with 2 attorneys, because he was teaching another attorney how to do family law, and she was in criminal attorney, and she wanted to do family law. And I walked in there with 2 attorneys, and I didn't have to pay a dime. And he said, if I get the money from him, fine. If I don't get the money from him, fine. I just want to help you, because God put him there for me. It was a divine appointment, like
this,
meeting you. And I was so grateful.
And I didn't hear that part of the story. That you told me.
So I ended up
hearing it now. It gives me hope, because it's tough.
I ended up winning them in court. They did a psychological workup on my children, and on me, and on my ex-husband. I didn't want them to do a psychological workup on my children, because I felt that they were too young. They were 6 and 3. And then they told me all they're going to do is make them draw pictures. And I said, my kids don't know how to draw hardly. And they said, that's okay. Even if they do little stick people or whatever, they know how to read, pictures. And when they explained it like that, then I said, okay, fine, you guys can do that to my children. And they got so much out of doing the pictures. They showed a picture of my daughter. So they said, draw a picture of the family. And so my daughter, they don't tell them to do anything. It says, draw a picture of the family. And so she drew me and her brother on one side of the page, and her father completely on the opposite end of the page. And we all had smiles on our faces. And the father had a big old hole where the mouth is, and just like that. And they asked them, what is Daddy saying? And they said, Daddy's mad at Mommy. And my daughter starts saying, Daddy's yelling, and Daddy's mad at Mommy. Daddy's always mad at Mommy. Daddy's always... So they through that, and then based on what I said, and based on what my ex-husband said, they found out he was lying. So what they did is they basically broke my ex-husband down and told him that and then once he seen the pictures, and they showed pictures that my daughter drew, and they were able to tell that I was the only one teaching my children anything. So everything they drew, it's stuff that I taught him. I taught my daughter how to do clouds, a rainbow, a little bird.
Wow. See,
And
this is the stuff people don't get it. They just look at it like he has a good job, he pays the bills. And that's it. Like, he's a good job, he pays the bills or whatever, and that makes it, he has the privilege to just do what he wants or to steal a kid when it's like you haven't even there emotionally, mentally, like.
And they caught him
physically, barely, just laying there. Like, it's ridiculous.
How they broke this man down is they showed him these pictures of a little daughter, and then they said little things that the little 3.5-year-old said, and the psychiatrist says it to the father, and they said, Mr. blah blah blah, his last name, your child said this, and your child said that, and and they break them down to where they shock them into the reality of the truth that the children said, and he broke down and he finally said, okay, and he was just in complete tears. And they said, my wife was an excellent mother and an excellent wife. And I'm sorry. I just, he just broke down. And they know how to do it.
Right. Well, that's what I need. I mean, he can say it to my face and all of that stuff and say it to the children. But then if he can't get what he wants from, like what? Flag my passport because I had a baby with somebody else. And now all of a sudden, what? They can just kidnap my children. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's a lot of women, we have to be really, really careful, because I'll say this. I know somebody, I don't want to say who, but this person, female, got her kids taken away because she allowed the boyfriend to pinch and bruise and also bite her children. That was a form of punishment.
Oh my God.
And they took the children away from her because that's what they did. And she had to pay child support for many years, and she could never get the kids back because she, they would
put them in harm's way.
She would
Is it? You mean CPS took them?
They took the kids and gave them to the father. And listen to this: the father was a drug addict his whole life. As a matter of fact, from one of the kids of this person's girl that I'm talking about, one of the children ended up being successful, and the older one ended up being a drug addict because it was learned behavior. So one child was able to succeed and overcome whatever they went through as children, but the other one ended up in the street and being homeless because he started doing drugs like the father. And
so she asked for help from DCF, or from the police or something, from this man that was abusive to her and her children?
Nope. She never went to counseling.
Oh, well, they found out.
That the children never got counseling. There was, I know that this person, this female, never ever spanked her children, and I have 4 kids. I think I spanked my baby daughter twice. My oldest daughter did get spanked. I was a super young mom. But I spanked my son twice also in his life. And I don't think I spanked my middle daughter ever. And not because she was perfect. It's just that she never did anything that was,
What kind of discipline?
What happened is that my son, when I spanked him, he had punched my daughter in the stomach. So, that was beyond, putting him in the room and taking his toys away, because I got really good at that, and that was better than spanking.
And I think in the state you live in, is it illegal to spank your children?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I know some states.
But back then it wasn't. Back then it was not.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, my kids are 40 something. So, and it was when I was a young mom. It's not that I don't believe in spanking. I believe in spanking, but spare the rod, spoil the child. I believe in that, and you don't have to spank all the time.
And some children it doesn't work, and some children it works.
That's
so
right.
That,
that's right. You have to know your child.
Yeah. And some children they don't care, but what will kill them is you take that device away.
Yeah.
You take their toys
away. That's what I got
good
at, because I wanted to be that
Isolate
mother that did not spank her children. My oldest, I felt bad for her because I did spank her a lot. Mostly, I think it was out of frustration.
Yeah, and you can't do it in anger.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I was a young mom,
but just being under
23,
stress. But that's the
24.
Thing. I feel like that's the thing to a lot of us. Deal with shame and guilt and all these things, and and so we
have to forgive ourselves.
We got to forgive ourselves, like we didn't. But
I was a young mom. I was 23 and 24 when I spanked. I think I stopped at the age of 25 because I realized that my daughter was basically already getting unappreciated by her father, and I always try to overcompensate.
How long was she in the children with their father? Like when they
just 9 months. 9 months. Not even 9 months. I think 6 months. 6 months in total.
Were you able to talk to them during that time?
No. Well, very, very little. Very little. He
phone calls?
No.
Visits?
No. He didn't let me. So that went against him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that went against him. And
I'm just trying to have simple like messages on Instagram. They both have their own phones now, and I just try to have simple conversation and send pictures and stuff on Instagram, and it's like, nope, you can't, only through my phone. Like, it's crazy. And it's not right.
Right. Nope.
But yeah, I mean, I learned a lot from having this car ride with her, and it was just such a blessing, and I just really wanted her to share her story. And
listen, I want to say something. I got my kids back, and I had them back for like 2 years, and then I lost a job, so I ended up going from a 2-bedroom to a studio. And when I told my then let me see, I think she was 6, 7, 8, 9. She was 9 years old, so it was 3 years later. I lost my job. I got laid off, and I went from a 2-bedroom to a studio. And I told my daughter I got a new apartment, and she went and she seen the studio, and she knew that she didn't have her own bedroom, and she started crying and saying she didn't want to live with me. So I had to give him up for 9 months to my ex-husband. And
how old was she?
9. And then he said that he was going to take him from me, and I told him, you try it. The boy? You try it. No. He wanted to take both of them.
Oh.
So because my son was 6 at the time, I could have kept him because he didn't care, but because my ex-husband used to abuse my daughter, well, he couldn't hit her anymore, but he used to mentally abuse her. I let my son go with my daughter, so that my husband would have 2 kids to concentrate, not just my daughter, because I was really in fear of how he was going to treat her.
And that's,
and so I didn't get him back to like 6, or I think it was like 6 months, and he tried to threaten that he was going to never give him back to him, and I just told him, try it. Just try it. You want to go to bouts again?
When you when they were with
That was the second time.
The second time.
Because I had lost my job. I won him in court.
Did he go to court for this?
No.
Or this was just the kids telling you that and you were like...
No, he told me,
yeah.
I'm going to steal the kids from... I mean, I'm not giving you the kids back. You can't support them. And I said, try me. Try me. Let's do it again in court. You want to try me again?
Yeah.
I said, you ain't... I'm sorry. I won sole and physical and primary custody. So I was a decision maker.
In what state?
In California.
Wow.
So I was so proud of myself. I was 23 years old at the time when I won him in court.
Wow.
And he was 3 years older than me, so he's 26. And I had him up against the ropes. And I'm not bragging. It was just God fortifying my soul and healing my heart. And then giving me the fortitude to fight.
Yeah.
And I was like a lion.
Yeah, like the last time, I couldn't fight. Like, I just couldn't. Like, I was getting yelled at in court. Like, it was just, I just felt like so defeated. So I was like,
I was traumatized from the court.
Yeah, I was trying. Even in like just that. Well, now I feel much stronger. But even when I was in another country dealing with it and thinking back at it, you know, and it was just like I would just cry. And if anybody would ask me, so what? And I would just ask my friends who mentioned it. I was like, what are you afraid of when I think about coming back or whatever? And
when did this happen? When did this happen? When you were in court and you felt intimidated?
This was during our trial, our trial. Like I got physical custody, and it was joint physical, but I wanted what you got because to protect my children. And it wasn't, and the judge is looking at me like, I'm trying to get you more money. Like, stop fighting for full custody. And I'm like, it's not about the money. I don't care. It's like he is abusive, and I have all these evidence right here. I have the
and your daughter was old enough. Listen to this, Mom.
And I
Dad.
said, this is what I said too. Really, before you bring it up, because it made me think. I said, Your Honor, the allegations against my daughter were not thoroughly investigated. And she looked at me like, do you want to be married? Do you want to get divorced today? Like, she just looking at me like, you're representing yourself. Like, that's why I feel like it was. Like, she's like, I'm trying to get you more money. And then when I said that, the allegations against my daughter, because he didn't talk the whole court time, but when I said that, he got up and was like, Your Honor, I just want to say something. His lawyer looked so scared because he knew what he did, which at this hearing, it's already in the transcripts, which he even admitted doing. And he said, I'll do anything if my kids, whatever they want. If she wants $2,000, she wants $2,400. She was like, you'll give her $2,400? And he's like, yeah, I'll give it. And then, like, he thinks he's gonna like talk about his life. And the judge only was like, I just want answers. $2,400. You want to be divorced today? I was like, yeah. And he's like, this is what it is. This is the order. Blah, 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 blah. And told the order, $2,400 for me, joint custody, physical placement with me, and then Sunday visits until he got the house. The apartment that he originally was supposed, the agreement was for me and the kids because we were done and being divorced. He's wiggling in front of us like, yeah, I'm not giving to you till you do what I say. And we're in my mom's basement, having nowhere to, really couldn't find any, stay at home mom all these years, whatever. He got a good job, all this stuff. Like, the court didn't care. They're like, I'm never giving you full custody. That she said, I don't do that. I don't give full custody. I'm sharing everything. But because the way the court works and the court orders, it's like, not court orders, but the court works. It's like the evidence. I don't care about your evidence because you didn't send in these motions first. You didn't do this first. And I said the thing about the allegations. So just to see
how old was your daughter at the time?
At
that time?
At that time, 13.
13. So she was, just so you'll know, mothers and fathers, if this ever happens with the physical or touching and stuff, inappropriate touching from one of the parents, a child that is, I think, 12 and a half is already considered in a court to be able to speak.
And that's what they didn't want to happen. They didn't want her to speak because that's what I said. Once I said the allegations against my daughter were not thoroughly investigated.
But they could have asked, they could have asked. That's right. They could have asked.
And I said, I said my daughter wants to be heard.
Petition the court for a 12 and a half year old to speak.
But guess who jumped up after he spoke? After he spoke, then the guardian ad litem that the court said that they must have, and we had to pay, which his lawyer referred and recommended for the children. She stands up and was like, and says a complete lie of what my daughter told her. I was just so defeated. Like I
What
felt
did
so
she say?
discouraged. You know, it wasn't like it was just an accident. This happened, and you know, they just feel like, oh my gosh. And then she told her mother. I'm like, this. Honestly, what I felt in my heart was just like I felt so defeated, so I didn't say anything. I just like this effing B word, you know, in my mind. Like I just. And the same with the
Yeah, just because it's
same
not
with
her
the
child.
same with the judge who yelled, you want to be divorced today? I was like, you guys not listen to me. You won't listen. Like, no help, no help. Oh my gosh, I need to protect my children.
So
how do I protect my children?
So guys and girls, the moral to the story is we must. You said united, right?
Yes.
We must have legal representation, if at all possible, and we need to. Is it Premier? Do you know, or is it
United?
We're gonna go up. So we're just gonna wait till these cars go.
No problem.
We must. I called because a lot of times what happens if you don't have a job, but now everybody has a job. But back then,
I was stay-at-home mom.
Oh no, there's still stay-at-home mom
since 2011 and homeschooling since 2013. So this is.
Yeah.
And under that kind of control, then you get out of that, and then it's like, then you have that same control in the courtrooms. And with these lawyers, they gaslight you, like, and you don't know what to do.
So, you know,
you need support, like you said, legal representation, and even this, like
you
this.
need legal representation, and try not to go to court without legal representation, because otherwise, judges a lot of times frown on it because you're not giving money to the system. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? So that's
or even the fact that they had a lawyer and then I don't know what to say or do in their terms and stuff. They're just like
they run you over.
Yeah, the way she put it out was like, you're gonna be here for 2 years fighting for full custody if you do you want to get. That's what she was trying to say. Because I feel like in her heart she was just like like, this girl's gonna be here and keep fighting. It's not gonna go well for her. And I was like, but the Most High is good because, at least I got to breathe for a little bit and get out of that fight for a little bit. But now I guess, I came back, and now I just still gotta fight. And I'm ready this time. I'm ready this time at least. But just thinking back at that and then dealing with what I'm dealing with now.
Where does he live?
Lives in Massachusetts.
No way. The father of
yeah.
Wow.
Why you say wow?
I thought he lived here in California.
No, Massachusetts. And
well, that's where you're gonna have to reside.
Rhode Island is where I'm going right now. That's where we were living. So that's where I'm on the way to.
Right.
So
I knew that, but I didn't know he lived there.
That's the court. That's where
I thought that he was living here. That's why you were here.
No,
you were just submitting what?
I told you about the what's it called? Okay, so for again the best interest of my children, I left the country so we can have a suitable living arrangement and we can be more affordable and be able to teach them in like a safe and healthy environment. And so that was that. And then now I see I have a teenager now. What do I do? And I told you both teenagers.
You were there for 2 years.
Yes. And then I have a teenager. What should I do? So for the best interest, I'm thinking, I didn't know because we were in contact with them, right? We opened the door. We allowed them to. They say sorry. We think they're, like everything you said. He apologized for everything.
He did?
And said everything to both me and my daughter. And it's like, okay, let him give an opportunity to, like, speak and things like that. He told the children, it's better for you guys to live out there. It's safer. America, I don't want you guys going to the schools here. And just talking about how everything, like all the things,
gender,
he brought all that. He brought up all that. He's like, he brought up everything. He's like, it's better for you guys there. He was paying child support on his own. Nothing court ordered. He was paying for child support, everything. And then when he learned, well, first of all, it started, there's an opportunity for the child to go to like an international type school. He's like, I'm not gonna pay child support anymore at that. But I still put them in there. And then he found out I was having another child. And then it was done with that. It was like, okay, now let's go let's go flag her passport and try to, get all this stuff done, you know, and just, so anyway, that's what really happened, is that, because I had a baby, and it's even in the, you can tell when you read the FBI agent's report about him coming to talk to her in January 2024.
So
And he was like, and I already traveled from Tanzania. My passport should have been flagged since that hearing, since I left in May 2022. But my passport only got flagged in January 2024. But then what they said, the children, he has a suspicion in January 2024. He says he thinks they're malnourished. He thinks they're not getting adequate schooling. He thinks, but I'm all online as a, come on now. And then I traveled in between all this time from I went from Tanzania to Jordan, from Jordan to Ethiopia to back to Tanzania. No, nothing wrong with my passport. Wasn't flagged then. But I need to catch a flight.